Flashbangs and tear gas from federal agents on Saturday in the heavily Latino city of Paramount as protesters hurled rocks and cement at Border Patrol vehicles. Video shows a car burning in the street. The Trump administration is reporting a surge in assaults against ICE agents and accusing Democratic leaders of inaction. The White House now sending in 2,000 National Guardsmen to, quote, address the lawlessness that has been allowed to fester. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned, quote, if violence continues, active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized. California Governor Gavin Newsom said the National Guard is not needed and accused the White House of seeking a spectacle, adding, quote, that move is purposely inflammatory and will only escalate tensions. At a press conference Saturday, congressional Democrats had this message for the Trump administration.
You cannot just come into the community and terrorize citizens the way you did. You cannot just continue to come in and profile people, not knowing if you are arresting American citizens.
The reason these tensions are so high is because of a series of ICE raids in recent days around Los Angeles. The Trump administration says that they have arrested more than 100 immigrants in that series of sweeps. Now, Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, did say on social media that these riots in Los Angeles would not deter immigration enforcement. The Trump administration, meantime, is saying that they will prosecute anybody who obstructs or assaults law enforcement. Erin.
So, Jackie, how is President Trump able to deploy California's National Guard if the state's governor, Governor Newsom, is opposed to this?
Yeah, according to Governor Newsom's office, Erin, the president is tapping something called Title 10 authority, which basically allows him to federalize a portion of California's National Guard and puts President Trump at the top of the chain of command for the National Guard as opposed to who would normally be at the helm, which is Governor Newsom. What he is not doing, according to the White House, is deploying the Insurrection Act, which is a controversial tactic that President Trump floated, if you may remember, back during the George Floyd protest during his first term. He never actually did deploy it, and he's not doing so in this case, we're learning, according to the White House. Erin.
And Jackie, President Trump posted about these protests earlier this morning. What exactly did he say?
Yeah, President Trump posted this morning, actually a little bit before 3 a.m., that basically he thanked the National Guard, and he also said that masks would be banned at protests moving forward, and basically said, what are people trying to hide, he questioned. Now, the president did not provide any specific details about how a ban on masks may be enforced, what the punishment would be. So we'll see how that plays out. But notably, it does come as we have seen a number of Democrats in Congress criticize ICE for at times using face coverings. And for instance, in a recent letter, Senators Kaine and Warner say that they have had a number of reports of arrests from ICE where they have obscured portions of their face, where they have failed to properly identify themselves. And the senators argued in that letter that that increases the risk not just for the general public, but for officers. So this debate over masks on both sides is appearing to turn into a real debate in Washington and will likely continue in the coming days. Erin.
Jackie DeFusco, thank you so much for your time.